Let us take another look at the concept and practice of second term as president or governor or any other elective position in the political space. Uh, Although second term is permitted for a president or governor or any other one, but in practice, what are the implications that should be considered? Uh, we must remind ourselves that Nigeria borrowed the presidential system of government or copied. Nigeria copied the American presidential system. But we have come to see that the Americans have learned not to give second term to a bad performer as president or governor. We can take the examples of Joe Biden. He didn't get second term. Neither did Donald Trump. He didn't get second term. But he took undue advantage of the bad performance of Joe Biden and age that started to take its toll on Joe Biden. And even though he desired second term, Americans did not mince words in telling him, age is not on your side. We can see it in your utterances of recent. But Donald Trump, who did not get second term after his first term in the past, took advantage of the shortcomings of Joe Biden, played on the intelligence of Americans, pointing to what he did better than Joe Biden, and also using the name of Jesus Christ to fool the Americans. Now he got his second term eventually on a second trial with better strategy for victory, but not better strategy for good governance, because actually he started acting like a drunkard, outlawing this and that, like a dictator. So that is what second term means. In Nigeria, Goodluck Ebele Asikwe Jonathan lost his second term bid for two reasons. In the first instance, he squandered his entire 4 years fighting the war against the Boko Haram Muslim community rather than seeking peace for progress. But more importantly, although his political party and himself refused to implement the recommendations of the Electoral Reform Committee for a truly independent National Electoral Commission, to appease Nigerians, Goodluck Ebele Asikwe Jonathan chose Professor Joe, Professor Muhammadu Atairu Jega as the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, because he has integrity and Nigerians trusted him. So they agreed. But it worked out against Jonathan himself because Jega would not compromise to get him re-elected when rejected by Nigerians. So, second term. Muhammadu Buhari, despite his woeful performance, got re-elected because the law permits it, and because he could manipulate the Independent National Electoral Commission. And you could see what he did in his second term. Increased fuel price to unprecedented level, to be surpassed only by his successor, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who from day one has been acting like a dictator. Fuel subsidy is gone. All other subsidies are gone. Gone to where? Transferring money to indigent households while paying workers less than living wage. And declaring all subsidies gone except for funding pilgrimage boards and subsidizing pilgrimages and things like that. Are now bent on second term, notwithstanding his age, notwithstanding his performance. But if you look at others in the governorship cadre, compare and contrast the first term of Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, governor of Oyo State, and Abdurrahman Abdurrazak, governor of Kwara State. These are typical of what happens in second term. In the second term of Muhammadu Buhari, not only that he increased fuel price to unprecedented level, only to be surpassed by his predecessor, whom he also imposed on Nigeria because of the flexibility of the so-called National Electoral Commission, but also claimed to redesign the naira while only changing its color and things like that, including doubling himself as Nigeria's petroleum minister and accounting for nothing, either as the petroleum minister or as Nigeria's president. At any rate, the so-called Independent National Electoral Commission is not independent. And Nigeria's rulers don't want to know how to make the Independent National Electoral Commission to be truly independent. So Nigerians have no option than to take it as a principle not to vote for any second term for anybody, however well the person performs in the first term. And that in principle, you have done 4 years, go home. And you look for another good person to elect to serve 4 years and go home, rather than giving room to temptation. Because that's what it is. Abuse of power will set in, knowing that he or she has nothing else at stake. And that is the second and last time till eternity. So, why give room to temptation? If Nigerian rulers refuse to uh, limit a person's term to a single term of 4 years, Nigerians can decide on their own that there's nothing like uh, second term. Even if Angel Gabriel or Angel Michael become Nigeria's president, let him or her serve 4 years and go. So that, because now the military intervention has been, I don't know whether to call it outlawed or whatever, which the sage, the political sage, or let me simply call him the sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, calls corrective regime. That military intervention is when things are going too bad, like in the days of Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. No. Since 2009, when Umaru Musa Yar'Adua imposed a jihadist war on Nigeria, things have been going bad since 2009 to date, and nothing has been done to restore peace and sanity to Nigeria. And now Nigeria is among the terrorist nations of the world. So these are things that will have brought in the military for 1 or 2 years to reposition the society. But because military intervention has been outlawed, so to say, the civilians are just doing what they like. So the more reason Nigerians should consider not giving second term to anybody. And as I say, even if it is Angel Gabriel or Angel Michael or any other angel, it's not worth it. It doesn't make sense, and as I said, the Americans have learned not to give second term to a bad ruler. And their electoral system is not such that you can easily manipulate. I don't know if they manipulate it. Maybe as a human institution, nothing can be perfect. But at least Atahiru Jega showed us that justice can be done. That justice can be done. But how many Atahiru Jega do you have? How many Atahiru Jega do you have? Mostly human beings are corrupt, and we cannot say that Professor Jega is a perfect man, but at least he has a level of this is haram. Nigerian rulers are attacking the opponents of Boko Haram because they are using Boko Haram to get everything they want illegally, exploiting the nation, abusing Western education, cooking up concepts for a subsidy and academic allowance and things like that. Corrupt concepts like that for a subsidy where none exists. End academic allowance. That is not end academic allowance. Things like that. So, but in essence, Nigerians, in principle, even though permitted by the law, make it a principle, a fundamental option, not to vote for anybody's second term. Decide that after a single term of 4 years, go home. Whether you are a saint or a devil. Because second term is reserved for corruption and the implementation of agendas that could not be implemented by anybody seeking second term. So why give room to temptation? So whether the person is a governor or president or whatever, single term of 4 years is sufficient. It's sufficient. A lot can be done even in a single year. Yes, a lot can be done even in a single year. And let another person come to do his or her best. So good governance is not about 8 years or 10 years. It's about even a month. Why do they talk of 100 days in office and your achievement but who is now talking about 100 days in office? Things are only getting worse and worse. Human beings are getting more and more degenerated. So